Brother David. I wish Brother David a very, very happy natal return. And in his honor, I wrote this little poem that hopefully will amuse you, and my fellow poets will join in your celebration to celebrate a birth. The natal day sends me quickly to kneel and pray. This auspicious natal day, one must contemplate the starry way to really encompass the natal day, where planets dance their spinning chants as dash we through the larger chasm with meteors and asteroids whirling at 'em. How miraculous this tiny birth when this grown being found its wandering way to earth, whether dropped down into fertile grassy field or to thornier, stonier ground revealed, whether born to caring parents or barely scraping parental harm, whether choosing some fine uniform or for marching off to battle, or spurning glory just to break the brutal pinching chains, and in the master's trembling face to shake them till they rattled. But should he or she decide to walk across the artist's tightrope, bulk and yet daring balance, flout the palace upon that high wire to traipse across, all concerns tossed to teasing chase the muse, the maiden only to cross the other side to find but small reward, have filled the baskets choked with bespoken pride. I salute this noble soul who spurned to choose power to rule and equally refused to chase old mammon. Because, my friend, the artist's glory, the artist's story is treasure you can neither steal nor fathom. When seized amidst the startling force, our transcendent muse with her special course, where pathways narrow, there's no reverse. This here, where artist meets their match with great creators' theater natch. Whether measured by ink or what we think, or wormly wood, or cold marble, or like the pretty songbird warble, the artist, nourished by this finer food, does all the world of good. For in this modern world of finery, the artist wears that special robe divinery. The artist may wear rags before the world, but here in heaven, that robe's pure gold. And then this very, very fresh piece. A friend of mine posed the question, what's a junk drawer? What makes a junk drawer? And I, having been a person so enthralled by found art, I had to take upon me this little cudgel. So I wrote this, what's in a junk drawer to make it a junk drawer? A plethora, a veritable cornucopia of pencils, pens, markers, marbles, a couple of old bottle tops from long lost German lagers, clips and slips of ancient purchases, a little more than a tip of a toenail of a Colombian hippopotamus, some screws, an earring, several other mementos equally endearing, a bit of string, a rubber band or two, sticky tape, and two kinds of glue, both nearly empty, I say peremptorily, but just enough to see you through these two tiny, nearly empty bottles of glue, staples, stickers, a couple of stamped liquors, some very sharp pins, just enough to stab you when you put your searching fingers in, a ruler, some scissors, and just in case, a bottle of whiteout to cover inky mistakes, which I know my brothers and sisters, the poets, would appreciate. And now, last but not least, this is one of those felicitous phrases that struck me on NPR that I had to take and twist in my own peculiar way. No science today. The capital of Fa. Deep in the forests of La, near the ancient river Da-Di, where the treasures of Da are known to dwell, in the sacred mountain monks ring their primeval bell, I led my horse down the perilous course, where rocks precarious fell with great force, where the crumbling trail was never measured by those out hunting the sacred treasures, when the unlucky all too often fall to the valley below. So trembled every pilgrim who chose that awful dangerous course to go, never minding where the hiding trail crumbled, hardly catching their breath when his courser stumbled. The sight of the spinning valley far below nearly scared some right to death, don't you know? The castle, barely visible through the clouds that flowed, scudding and tearing through the sharp crags of ice, as if the slippery course was delicately trimmed with frosting So nice. The winds, ferocious, would tug and chase, blasting these valiant pilgrims on the rock-steep face. Once more his brave horse blanched and shied at the nearby rumbling of another avalanche at their side, and as he approached the valley floor, a volley of arrows did restore his attention. To the final worn rocky ledge, these dangerous tribal people had sworn their pledge to protect the fortifications of the capital city of Fa. They'd sworn to their mothers on the sacred river Ka. They'd guard with their lives the final approach to Fa from any wandering wayfarer, no matter who they are. The Grand Vizier of the great castle Fa had cast his spell on the vineyard of Kani, and though he should know the warehouse was empty, but he knew that any goblet from the great capital Fa was magically filled with a sparkling vintage unmarred. And as the young knight-errant approached the castle gate, where the imperial sacred band was well armed and lay in wait, surrounding the castle Fa was the equestrian force, well known, like Caesar's equestres, so well appointed on horse. These, guarding the eastern gates of the sun, was the force always known to be number one. These, like Alexander's, were known as companions, and it was known that they were brave as granite stanchions. But in the west, so lauded and praised were those who would risk all right to their grave. Known, like Gordius's ancient warriors, the sacred band was this band of soldiers who, although of ancient vicious lineage, had among them no moldering visage. But our hero had a better weapon than all these that might bellow and deafen. He leapt from his saddle just before the gate. He raised up one hand and bade the soldiers all wait. They leaned in to hear what he had to say, and he broke out his best joke, and they laughed their heads off. Right into the palace he strode, bold as brass. He had them all laughing till they fell on their ass. In the throne room our hero arrived, where he explained boogie woogie and all that hep jive. Right there on the spot they made that lad king, and they kissed his behind and gave him some kind of ring. He waved them away with a generous gesture, because, like the flagon with the dragon, it was not quite his kind of pestle.
Bravo, bravo.
You slay us,
Yes,
Rick.
yes, as always, delightful. I believe that was said in the comments as well. Yes, this natal day sends me to kneel and pray. Come out of my glum evening. All I wanted to do was sleep, and now I'm happy as all good things are. You have this gift of saying that the artist's treasure